So yeah, he dresses up like a woman. Not a very difficult pull off, as he is a very pretty man. With his so he then lets himself down gently in front of the Mages College, and with a smile still on his lips, he turns to the gates and knocks.
Less than a minute later, you hear a knock in return. Or rather, you hear a response. Yes, sir. Can I help you?
Ma'am.
Sorry. Oh, ma'am, my apologies. How can I help you at this very early hour?
I presume one of you received my letter?
Yes. Yes, of course. He opens the door and allows you in.
Happy to help you, memories, madam.
I don't think his tracts of land are quite that vast. Are they?
Hey, I'm just using the thing you used.
I know.
He'd be imitating a convincing flat-chested woman.
Yep. So yes, his tracts of land aren't quite that vast. Supper, actually.
We'll kill you.
So.
But not yet, I fear. So.
Yeah.
You are, I understand it, interested in learning the art of alteration, yes?
Yes. Specifically, it's I have this, I suppose you could say, theory I'd like to follow upon possible alternatives to capital punishment here in the kingdom, and I would like to look into the possibility of, let's say, hypothetically, turning criminals into, say, chickens?
Yes. There is a lot of rumors about that, the classic witches turning people into toads, though I'm afraid those are merely stories. Entertaining stories, indeed, especially for the children, but to fully transform a person in such a way, especially against their will, is... well, beyond the capabilities of mages. It is in the same level of rumor as those who believe that you can fully change your appearance into another creature. Well, they also say that mages can summon lightning from the heavens themselves, and, well, we all know that is mere rumor.
I am already familiar with the research. I'd simply like to see what has been done in this area. And I would like to discuss this matter in private, if it's alright with you.
I see. Very well. We are often asked to handle such matters of discreetness. I assume... well, I shall make no assumptions. Now, it is rather late in the evening, or shall we say, early in the morning. How urgent is this matter for you?
Very well. She reaches to her side, pulls out her purse. Oh my gosh. And pulls out a bag of gold coins. She pulls out 5 gold coins.
The mage holds up his hand. Not what I am implying. What I mean to say is that this discipline, as with many, takes a long time to learn. If it is something that you require an answer to immediately, then perhaps there is a specific task that a scroll or such may be better suited for. However, if you are willing to have more regular lessons to fully understand the discipline, then mayhaps we can organize better times to properly teach you.
Let's wait until we're behind doors before we continue, please.
I would have assumed that this conversation had started after they were behind closed doors. Like,
Very
she'd
well.
invited them in, and then she was saying this as they were, like, entering into his office.
Very well. Whisper reaches into his coat and pulls out a letter with the crest of his family on the envelope. I have a contact with a very influential family. They owe me a favor and would be willing to compensate my research that I'm about to ask of you now. In exchange for disclosing and handing over any research material you have on the subject of transfiguration, as well as some light tutoring for the evening, I can guarantee your projects for life.
And I was debating on this internally, so I apologize for the back and forth, but I'm deciding now it is a she. She basically grabs the letter, reads it over very thoroughly. It's like, is this real? She takes an inhale of breath. Deal.
Most excellent. Thank you. Alright?
She nods vigorously. Thank you very much. Would you like to begin the tutoring now, or wait till a later evening?
Right now.
Okay, now, we'll see if I can wake up the, alteration master of this college. It is, she basically goes outside. Sirs, see if you can awaken Master Noctis. Are you sure that's a wise idea? Yes, it is. Go! Sorry, Master Noctis is quite a morning.
And don't forget, Mum is the word.
Yes, of course. Apologies, but Master Noctis is quite the morning person, so we may have to wait, but while it is not my specialty, I do know a few elements of the theory, so you and I could start now if you wish, madam.
That would be delightful. Thank you.
Of course. So, you begin you begin your training. I sadly must inform you that I originally did have a combat encounter planned for when Sir Noctis was awoken from his sleep at 2 a.m. in the goddamn morning, but it was cut for time. Let me simply assure you that which was a bracing experience. But early the next morning, you arrive back at your room, disguised once again as your butler, and carrying a pot of tea steaming hot on a tray. Now, for the rest of you in the morning, Korim, I believe there is something you wish to do. Something about young Sharon?
Yeah, having to remember who Sharek is.
Elaborate, please.
Korim has been Korim for so long and hasn't actually had to be Sharek for more than a couple of hours every other month. Trying to remember who he is meant to be as Sharek, with the responsibilities that go along with it. He's kind of having to take lessons from his own parents.
You spend a lot of the morning engaged in those lessons with your family, which includes quite a lot of no! Further up your butt! Further up your butt! The stick must be further up your butt!
The stick must be firmly lodged!
Which causes it would cause a lot of odd glances from the servants if they were not used to this thing from your parents.
Kun is not.
Not.
He's periodically peeking in to see if they're actually assaulting him.
Or perhaps not. For Claus.
Oh no!
After that dream that you had, the next morning for breakfast, you might need a bit of fresh air, a little bit of space, and there is a tavern nearby for you to get something to eat while your family is busy training Korim. Training, I say, with the biggest air quotes I have ever created. But
So you could have just said shoving a stick up Korim's ass.
yes, but do you go down to the local tavern to get some air and a bite to eat?
Yes, but I'm not going anywhere alone after that night.
That is why I was
You
presuming
are
that
never
Kun.
alone.
That is why I was indeed assuming that Kun might be accompanying you and not stay behind to hear that. Am I correct in this presumption?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my mom's cooking, but... Yeah,
Indeed.
Tavern, yes, please.
Okay, so, curious, what do you get to eat there?
Well, I'm going to let you choose.
She is... Her brain stops so hard that you feel your brain stop, Klaus.
Please stop blue screening my brain.
What are my options?
I mean, where's the menu?
So, the menu would be all the items that Ari said the other day, said the session a while ago would be available to Red Tigers, though more on the cheaper foods, the fruits, the breads, the soups, not as much the vegetables, not as much meat, as meat is a more expensive item, though you're willing to pay.
Well, are we anywhere near the sea?
You are. Yet there are actually a few seafood items.
All right.
There is some fish, not as much, but it's there.
Sushi. She
That-
or has them or. No, just kidding.
I don't. It's there. I was gonna say it's just an expensive delicacy.
Yes. Basically, grilled trout with rice and probably some sort of vegetable.
So,
I don't know, dude. I need a menu.
do you go to pay? Do you go to pay for that, Klaus?
I mean, I should be able to afford one fancy meal.
Well, that's not really that fancy. If I wanted fancy, I'd go salmon.
I mean, she's got a
It's-
point.
It's fancy around these parts because, you know...
True.
As you go to put the coin on the table, another hand places its coins down before you, and a familiar voice says, "Same for myself, and I'll pay for the young man here." You freeze, and with growing dread, you turn to see the familiar face of Saber. We
I
cut to
have-
Korim.
Hey!
So, Korim,
Jumalauta! Perkele!
Satana!
Dear Shay! Shay Vixie!
sorry, I didn't catch any of that. You were speaking not English.
We've-
You got cut off there, Josh. What'd you say?
Oh no, it's just like we've been taking a little bit of Russian on the side. Satana!
I don't really think a translation was required there.
But that
No,
that-
I'm pretty sure that was mostly swearing.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure incomprehensible swearing is incomprehensible swearing in any language.
Stay on Voltava Nartu.
Anyway, so Korim, what are you doing during this time? You are speaking to your family, yes?
Yeah.
Something seems to be troubling you, son.
How much do you know about the stuff that I had to do in the military? Or rather, how much has... What is it, Lord Merrick?
Lord Merrick was the master of your division, yes?
Yeah.
Is that a character?
Yeah. How much has Lord Merrick actually told you about what I've had to do?
He has told us, well, nothing. In fact, I did not actually know it was he who commanded you. Honestly, I thought you were under Lord Katir. He is, after all, the Lord General. And to be honest, my son, your father speaks up then. We didn't really like to think about what you were doing. As long as you were alive and unharmed, the rest of it was unpleasant information that we'd rather avoid. Unless it became absolutely necessary.
Well, I can't go into full details, but unfortunately, there was a mission that I was sent on which caused us to come up against Vinceris. Or rather, her agents.
There's an intake of breath from both of them.
Yeah. He hired Saber, and unfortunately, in the ensuing, fight, Saber killed one of the members of my team.
Your mother puts a hand on your shoulder. She clearly recognizes that member of your team is not only what he was to you. Sorry, son.
And now I'm having to come face to face with the person that, gave the order. Or at the very least, one of her agents. Yay!
And you're worried you may lose your composure in their presence when you are trying to form an alliance between the two sides.
It's not the loss of composure that concerns me. That one, I'm usually, even in such situations, I can usually manage to keep my cool. The difficulty is actually being there as Sharik rather than as Korim. Because as Korim, as you obviously know by now, Korim is a little bit more outspoken, relaxed, doesn't really care much about diplomacy in terms of everything. But as Sharik, as a representative not only of the Etherian household, but of the Golden Lions in a diplomatic situation, I have to maintain the persona of Sharik.
Then maybe you should speak to her as Korim. Your mother adds to that, son, Vinceris is deceitful and cunning, and so are the people she hires. You come to her in a false pretense, and even Lord Katir could see through such an act. But come to her as Korim. Come to her relaxed, casual, and direct. And, well, she smirks. There is a reason your father and I act as we do. Sometimes the best way to subvert the game is to not play it in the way people think you will play it. And leaving you with that to think about, we return now to Whisper. What is he up to that morning, Jeremy?